Hey, welcome back to Triple C, Candace's College Cooking, where I have the opportunity to teach you, the 20-something crowd, basics and hacks of cooking, as well as how to impress your friends, roommates, and maybe even a date with restaurant-worthy creations. Cinco de Mayo is this weekend. Today, my episode's all about guacamole. If you're not from the South or the Southwest, you probably have no idea what Cinco de Mayo is all about. Alexa, what is Cinco de Mayo?
Cinco de Mayo is a yearly celebration held on May 5th to celebrate Mexico's victory over the Second French Empire at the Battle of Puebla in 1862, led by General Ignacio Zaragoza.
With that reference, believe it or not, they really don't even celebrate Cinco de Mayo in Mexico. But funny enough, you know where they do? Texas, and likely on every college campus across the US. Also, this weekend is Derby Day. So I'm putting together Cinco de Mayo and Derby Day with guacamole. You can bring your guac to a Derby Day party. For a Texas girl like me, there's nothing like the taste of fresh guacamole. It's perfect on fajitas, tacos, or just with chips. You can take it to a party. You can have it at a party. And if you're a guy looking for a date, hint, girls just want to have guac. Avocados can be pricey, especially depending on the time of year, and guac is one of those things you really have to prepare for. If your avocados aren't perfectly ripe, your guac won't be ripe. So to avoid disappointment, purchase your avocados at least a couple of days ahead of time to ripen. Do not count on the grocery store selling avocados that are guac ready. Yes, there are a couple of hacks, but honestly, the results just are not equivalent to when you ripen an avocado on its own. I leave mine on the counter to ripen, and then I put them in the fridge to slow the ripening process so they're ready when I am. But like any fruit or vegetable, they will not last forever. So make sure and use your investment wisely and don't let them go to waste. Okay, like everything we eat, guac can be personalized. My friend Lisa loves it chunky. My friend Carolyn likes it mild, whereas I like it chunky and lots of heat and lots of cilantro. So let's get to it. By the way, I snagged this bag of avocados. There was actually 5 of them. I grabbed one over here at Sam's when they had them on sale for $4.70. That's, again, 5 to 6 avocados per bag typically, depending on where you buy them. And again, the time of year, but be prepared. Avocados can run you between $1 and $2 per avocado. You are going to need fresh garlic, between 3 and 5 cloves, depending on how spicy you like it. At least a teaspoon of kosher salt. And you're gonna need clearly ripe avocados. Those are like firm, soft to the touch, but still have a little bit of firmness in them. You don't want them completely mush. That means they've gone bad. You need some red onion, some lime, cilantro, olive oil, and a little bit of pepper. That'll get you going. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna chop 1 clove of garlic. I've already chopped some of the garlic to save time for you guys because you don't wanna watch me chop garlic all day. But what you do, as you see, give it a little whack, throw your junk in the garbage bowl over there, chop off the, what's the root end of the garlic, and give it another smash and a chop. Now, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna try to make a little paste with kosher salt. So I've got 3 cloves of garlic here. I'm gonna put, rough order of magnitude, about a teaspoon of salt. Might seem like a lot of salt, but honestly, the avocados really need the salt to bring out the full flavor of, let's see, is it a fruit or a vegetable? I don't really know. It does have a pit, so we're gonna go with vegetable. That's my guess for the day. All right, once you've kind of made your paste, you wanna put this in a medium-sized bowl. And we will move on to the red onion. All right, we're gonna take 3 slices, approximately 1/4 of the red onion, and chop it up to put into our guacamole. Since we're only gonna use part of the red onion, we are only going to slice it off from the non-root end. All right, this is a pretty big red onion. I'm gonna go with 2 slices instead of 3 of the red onion. So peel off your outer skin. And then let's give it a nice chop. And a little aside, my knife seems a little bit dull, probably because I haven't used my AccuSharp on it lately. But let me tell you, this thing will bring the dullest knives back to life. Really recommend getting yourself an AccuSharp. Super inexpensive. I think they're like $10.88 on Amazon. Okay. That looks about right for our red onion. Let's throw that into our medium-sized bowl that is going to house our guac. Okay, next you want a big bunch of fresh cilantro. And you need to wash it, shake it off, and then we're gonna chop it. Unlike parsley, you can actually use the stems of cilantro so they don't go to waste. A bunch of cilantro like this typically runs you between $1 or $1.50 depending on where you shop. Currently in North Georgia, cilantro is available at Walmart for 65 cents a bunch and about $1 at Publix, although I think Walmart actually reduced the size of the bunches of cilantro. Okay, so we're gonna use, say a good handful of this. Oh, one other little hack. When you get home from the grocery store, rinse off your herbs and put them in a wet paper towel. Remove, the thing that kind of binds them up, typically, a rubber band or something like that, and put them in the fridge. They're going to be much happier and last a whole lot longer for you. Okay, cilantro. Again, we're using the stems and all, which is kind of cool. All right, once we have our cilantro, let's throw that in the bowl. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the spice for the guacamole. I normally use a jalapeno. They didn't have jalapenos, so I'm using a serrano chili, which is actually a little hotter than a jalapeno. So you need to decide how much pepper you want and how spicy, to determine how spicy you want your guac. Now, again, this guy is spicy, so take off the top, and again, I've already washed this. Now, here's the interesting thing about the pepper. All of the heat is in the seeds and the veining. So for me, I'm going to leave just a smidge of that left in the pepper to chop up to put in the guacamole. Again, I like mine pretty spicy. Although I live in Georgia, I like spice. People in Georgia don't like spice. It's kind of interesting. And if you live in Georgia and you like spice, sorry, didn't mean to offend. All right, so now I have most of the ribs, the veining, seeds removed. We're gonna give it a chop. And basically I just cut it lengthwise first. All right, and then cut it the opposite direction. One other little tip, I typically will do this really close to the sink because you're going to want to wash your hands. Some people wear gloves. I don't think that I want to wear gloves, never have, probably never will. But make sure and wash your hands after you chop up a hot pepper. The last thing you want to do is touch your eye with jalapeno juice on your hands. Oh, and my husband tells me, if you're a dude, make sure you wash your hands before you go to the bathroom because that's reportedly worse than getting pepper juice in your eye. Okay, I'm back from washing my hands, and the next thing we're gonna do is move on to the avocados. Think of the avocado as a globe, although it's a really strange shaped globe, right? This would be the North Pole, this would be the South Pole. In the middle is a big pit. Now what you wanna do is you wanna cut around that pit. And you can do this a couple of different ways. I find that you can either do it in your hand or like I just did on a board, twist, and you'll see there's a pit stuck in the middle. Here's how you get the pit out. Take your knife, whack the pit, and give the avocado a little twist. Now, then you just slap it on the side of your garbage bowl or your garbage, and it'll release. Now, we're gonna slice the avocado. Again, I want this chunky, so we're gonna go ahead and slice twice, long ways, and then 3 or 4 times across the top. Give me a second, I'll get all these done. Okay, now that I have all of these avocados depitted, if that's a word, and sliced, I'm gonna scoop them out I'm gonna scoop half of these out and into my bowl. All right, spoon, avocado, scoop. What could be easier? And again, I'm not sure I shared this with you. I'm using 3 avocados today. So I want half, that's 3 halves. Okay, now I want to mash the avocados with, again, the salt, the garlic, the cilantro, the red onion, and the serrano pepper. And now I want to add a little moisture to this. So it's time for a lime. And here's what you do with a lime. I store mine in the refrigerator. To juice it more easily, you want it to be a little warm. So I'll take it and I'll just roll it on the counter. Now, when you're ready to juice it, you can certainly use a lime juicer if you have one of those. I prefer, honestly, for a lime to just use a fork. So, squeeze that lime juice into your guac. You see, just turn the lime around the fork, and that'll get the lime to release its juices. One other thing I forgot to mention, if you have a potato masher, you can certainly use a potato masher. That's what this is. But I'm sure not all of you have a potato masher. No reason to go out and buy a potato masher. A fork works just fine. All right, so let me give this another stir now that I've got all of that good lime juice incorporated. All right, looking good. Just a couple of more steps and we're gonna be done here and be able to eat. Let's get the rest of our avocados into the bowl. Okay, now we want to give it a super light mix. Okay, you can see this. We don't want to break up all of that nice chunky avocado too much. Okay, now about a teaspoon to a tablespoon, depending on your taste preference, of olive oil. And we, my friends, are almost guac ready. Let's give it a little splash of black pepper. Now, if you're gonna dig into this right away, which, you know, you probably need to have a taste, make sure it's, you know, restaurant quality. Honestly, it needs a smidge more salt. Throw a little more salt in. I'm gonna give it another squirt of olive oil. That's enough lime. Okay, if you're gonna dig into this right away, just get your chips and go for it. If you're gonna serve it later on in the afternoon or the day, here's what I do. Shredded cheese. Put that on top. And it will form a bit of a barrier to keep your avocados green and fresh. The other thing you need to do is take a piece of plastic wrap and we're going to cover the guac. We're gonna push down the plastic wrap to where it's touching the cheese and the avocado. And you, my friends, are Cinco de Mayo ready. If you don't like cheese, no problem. Don't need to use the cheese. You can just put the plastic wrap on top and it will keep for you for later in the day. If you found this episode informative, please subscribe to my channel, like this episode, and share on social. Thank you for watching Triple C, and remember, to share a meal is to share a life. Have an awesome Cinco de Mayo.